Good evening and welcome to tonight's Yukon City Council, Yukon Municipal Authority work session. It's February the 6th, 2024, 6:30. We're here at the Council Chambers Centennial Building, which is 12 South 5th Street in the great city of Yukon, Oklahoma. Tonight we're going to discuss past, present, and future capital projects. Mr. Hort?
Okay, we're going to talk about some past and present and future projects. We hope this will be interactive. Also, we're going to talk about relationships and the importance of relationships when we talk about the entities that we work with and how it benefits us to make our dollars go farther or our pennies. So as we go through this, we're going to talk about those relationships and stuff. And the big thing that we want to look at the end is, since you've received your email in reference to capital projects, we want you to think about those and what they may be that you have. One of the things that you'll see in here, we have a list, but that list will probably change significantly just because of things that happen every day. So as we go through this, we'll talk about it. If you have questions, please get with me and we'll discuss it, or get with Tammy. So we're going to get started. Okay, Garth Brooks seems to keep coming up about the issues on it, the things that we've done. We did a traffic study in 2016. There was 13 different projects that was recommended. In today's dollars, it's about 10 million, almost $11 million of work that needs to be done on this strip from Vandermont to Northwest 10th. So, like I said, we've done some things to try to alleviate that. We work on it pretty hard. We've tried to work with relationships. We applied for multiple grants with ACOG to try to get that. And that's one of the things we want to talk about, relationships and the importance of them as we go forward, because it does help. So we want to get started here. We're going to talk about the Carissa grant that we got from ACOG and how we worked with them and how much goes into a project. I was asked the other day, it's a simple overlay, you just mill and overlay it. But when you're talking about federal dollars, there's things that have to be done, certain things that have to be done for environmental, for set of plans that can be bid. So ODOT is the administrator of that. So there is a means to the method, and like I said, this project right now is estimated about $1 million. This basically is an overlay from Vandermont to Main Street. It will fix the spots in the pavement that's kind of failed, if you'll see there. So, but like I said, as we go through, if you have questions, just please talk about it. But this was a relationship type deal working with ACOG, and we have a couple of other things as we go forward. On the ODOT, Tammy has worked real hard with the city engineers to work with ODOT to work on one of the pieces of the Garth Brooks project to limit the amount of investment the city's going to have. And this is one of the deals that was in the traffic study. As you can see, we're adding left-hand turns, double, dual, coming onto Garth Brooks and coming off to Garth Brooks on the ramp and off the ramp. Like I said, at this time, this is estimated at $3.2 million. So this is a significant investment that ODOT is doing. Now, we do have to do the plans for this project. So we will also have a 10% that we have to pay as well of whatever the price is. One of the things that, as we go through, we'll talk about too, multimodal is a big thing, and when we're getting federal dollars, that's why we talk about the 10-foot sidewalks or trail. Because if you have both, that gives you points as you go through the process. So it gets us some help on these projects. And what we're trying to do is the TAP grant, the TAP grant here is the sidewalk or the multimodal trail. So this kind of helps us in our application. So we're trying to put both of these to be bid at the same time or similar time, or maybe even incorporated. Maybe, I don't know how it's going to work, but that's something that we're working with the ODOT. And it's an $864,000 project. I've asked, why we're doing this, but like I said, with federal money, multimodal, giving other people means to move through the project or around the project safely with bicycles and walking. And that's why we talk about the Garth Brooks Trail. You know, that was part of the deal. That's probably helped us with the Carissa grant. And as we move forward, we're trying to make sure that we have this multimodal trail basically from Main Street all the way to 10th Street. That allows commerce to go back and forth, so if people want to walk or ride a bike, if there's any conflict, they have plenty of space. A health center improvement, this is one of the improvements that we did, trying to alleviate some of the problem. There was not a dedicated left turn east or westbound onto Garth Brooks, so that was added at $312,000. So we're trying to do things to alleviate the traffic and help the traffic. I know we get a lot of complaints about the hospital side, you know, they're being delayed a little bit, but we're doing what we can to take care of those issues. Smart grid, that was a deal where we connected all the lights together with the smart grid system. Basically, the lights before had what they called loops on all directions in the pavement. So, I mean, we're going from a pavement type system to what they call a camera or detector or smart grid. So what we try to do, you know, with the pavement, with the loops in the pavement, you know, when the asphalt moves, it's actually a wire. It looks like a wire that been in commercial installation. It gets nicked, cut, torn just from the pavement movement. So that's why we moved to the camera system, because, you know, the lights work off that. So we went from some of the intersections have like 16 loops to what we have today is the smart grid, which is one item. So if we have a problem, it's one item and not a multiple loops. Garth Brooks improvement, you know, this is the right-hand turns off of Garth Brooks to the ramp, east and westbound. You know, this is part of the project as well. You know, we're trying to get that traffic out there as quick as we can. This is about a $313,000 project. It has helped some. You know, we do realize we still have issues, but we will have some recommendations on Garth Brooks going forward of what we recommend in the next couple of years in the phases. You know, this is one of the past projects. The reason that we brought this forward, you know, it was broke up into two different phases. There's north of the bridge and south of the bridge. This was a relationship. This was done with us contracting both of the asphalt projects, but we actually worked with the county for stabilization underneath the asphalt. So they come in and stabilized. And one of the good things about the county and working with the county, they can provide the labor and the equipment, but we have to buy the material to stabilize the base. And they worked with us on this project. And like I said, I wanted to talk about relationships and the importance of relationships, and we have to build those bridges with the council and those entities such as the county commissioners. And like I said, they're willing to work with us on other projects and actually have approached us, and we'll be meeting with them in the future. Now, this project was Wilshire Bridge as well as the road. This was also a relationship with Oklahoma City, with the county and us. Oklahoma City paid for half of the cost of materials and the project. The county provided the labor for the base and stabilization. So Oklahoma City has been a good partner on those roads that are half shared by us, as well as any drainage issues that we've had as a shared facility. And that project is almost 1.2 million, and they paid for half of it. So, and while we're talking about this, basically, we had worked with Oklahoma City, if you remember right, de-annexing the east portion, basically from 11th Street all the way to our city limits, and they basically have taken on the repaving or rehabilitating of Wilshire going east. So that saved us quite a bit of money that we did not have to pay. So that has been a good relationship, because at the time we did not have the money. I think it was 2.8 million, which we'd have had to pay half of that, and we did not have that to spend there because we have other needs within the urbanized area. We want to talk about future projects as well as what's happening to us. Northwest 10th Corridor, you know, we have some things that we'll be bringing to you to talk about. Actually have another slide in here. We'll talk about Cornwall and Northwest 10th, but we want to make that a project that is needed, but also we need to consider in the future too as well, because everybody that drives Northwest 10th and Garth Brooks knows about the traffic and the issues that we have. So this is a future thing that we need to take in consideration. And we do have the large apartment complex going in Oklahoma City city limits. It's going to impact us even more. The whole idea of looking at 10th Street too is to try to get the traffic to move faster and more efficient, so maybe we can take some of that off of Garth Brooks, because people are creatures of habit. If you go down Garth Brooks every day, you're gonna go down Garth Brooks. So, and this is a relationship deal too as well, that we're trying to work with Oklahoma City, but they only work with what's in our city boundaries. Okay. We're also gonna talk about drainage. You know, we do work with drainage and stuff, and this is a proposed project, or actually is a project that's supposed to be worked on this year. There is some drainage issues at the roundabout at Health Center Parkway. With all of the paved surface and then with the changes in the drainage basin, this is something that we're gonna have to take care of to allow access to the hospital if somebody comes in from the south and comes to the hospital. So this is estimated about $500,000 right now, depending on what we have to do, so. This is another relationship. This is a box culvert that we had to replace at Sarah and Wagner. This is half in Oklahoma City, half in our city limits. They did, as we went through and discussed it, we did do this with them and they split it. It was a $117,000 project and they paid their half. Westport drainage, we just, like I said, want to let you know there is a lot of things that people do not see that's hidden behind houses, beside houses, and we're trying to work on those as well. So this is one of the projects that we worked on. And then we actually had a Bass Bridge drainage area that we worked on. So like I said, we are looking at all areas. There's a lot of this that people don't see that has to be done. And this project has been completed, as well as Turtle Creek drainage. That was $112,000. So, you know, drainage projects are very expensive. I know one of the things, I had an individual approach me the other day, why do we need an engineer on some of these projects? Well, some of these projects have certain issues and a lot of issues that have to be looked at real close. Like, for example, this one is actually in a floodplain and a floodway. So there were some special things that had to be engineered on this project, starting with, it's called a 404, which actually is watered the state. And so it has special permitting requirements to the Corps of Engineers. So we had to work on this and it took several months. You know, that was the other thing I was asked, why does it take so long for some of these projects? Well, there's a lot that goes on a lot of people don't realize. You know, just the engineering, like I said, this took the Corps, it took several months, and we had to, there's just a lot that goes into it. Surveying, engineering, make sure we don't increase or flood anybody else out. You know, every action that we take has a reaction, so we have to look at it upstream and downstream. And our city engineer, Robbie Williams, is real good at that and making sure that we do not impact anybody. This is another one, since all the development in the basin, this is a Kings Ridge drainage project. This is one that we're working on this year as well. We're waiting for the surveyor to get all of the stuff surveyed, and then we'll do this through our contractor, on contract, on demand. This is the Richland Bridge. We just want to let you know we do have bridges to take care of. This is one of those things, you drive over it every day, you do not realize what we have to do. So this is a project that we had to do some rehabilitation on the bridge. This is a project that will be coming to talk to you next council meeting at the study session. Basically, all I'm going to say, we are working with ODOT and sidewalks as well as on Main Street. They will be coming and talking about that. So just wanting to let you know, we're working at every angle we can to get every penny we can for anything that will help fund. This is the Wagner Road Rehabilitation Project. We did award the bid, if you remember right. It's $924,767. So this one will be starting in the next several months. They want to wait until it warms up a little bit and they'll get started on it. Of course, we know about Highway 4. This was actually a project that we were required to obtain the right-of-way for Highway 4 to actually widen the facility and move the facility over. A lot of people do not realize that we have to do that. And like I said, this is kind of one of those, past, we did the phase 1, now we're doing the phase 2. This is something the state has done. The project is theirs now, it's $12.6 million. Okay, sidewalks, we look at sidewalks as well. There is a item on tonight, we're talking about sidewalks. We talked about that from Main Street all the way to Northwest 10th on Cornwell. So we are taking that money and we're gonna have an item on it tonight to do a portion of that, basically from Von Elm to Glenda on the west side of the road. So this is the first phase, and we'll budget it each year, money in there for sidewalks as well as this project. The flat area that we're talking about is an area that we're just going ahead and, okay. It's the area that's the easiest, that we don't need an engineer, but there will be parts of this where it require retaining walls that we'll have to get an engineer. So we're trying to do the easiest, the flattest part. We have a lot of requests because of children that live in the area and people accessing it and the traffic that's on Cornwell, that we provide an easier access for the citizens to use the sidewalk along the Cornwell Avenue. So this is one piece of many pieces that will be coming forward. And there's just a lot of issues that will have to be looked at, so. Yeah, so like I said, retaining walls, there's gonna be a lot of that, so we'll have to obtain services and work on those other sections. Okay, this is a project that's coming up. We're in the design process of this. We're hoping to finish up and be able to bid this in the next month or so. This is the Yukon Parkway and Vandermint intersection that we've talked about. This is where we'd put left turns east and west, north and south to allow better access. While we're doing this too, we're providing pedestrian access because that has been an issue and a concern. There is children that do walk to the high school some, so that's part of our sidewalk work plan from here that we're looking at.
Is Oklahoma City paying any of that for their side?
No, we're trying to stay within our right-of-way that we actually have control of. If you remember right, we have control of the curb cuts on Yukon Parkway as well as Northwest 10th. So that gives us a wider area, and this is going to be within the boundaries of the right-of-way. Now, we have talked to Oklahoma City and let them know about what's going on just for courtesy. Okay. Frisco Road sanitary sewer line. This is, part of our upgrade and development. This is a project that's bid at $365,555. So this is getting ready for development as well as connected to the sewer line underneath I-40. Let's talk about the wastewater treatment plant. We've talked about this several ways, but we also, like I said, this is a real great partnership with the county that we're going to talk about. Of this project, if you remember right, there was 10 phases. There was 10 phases, estimated at $8 million. At the time, it was estimated in February 2nd, 2023. As you know, our funds for $8 million, we don't have that in the bank. The county actually had some funds that they were grateful to allow us to access and use for part of this project. They received ARPA money. With the ARPA money, there was requirements that could only be used for water, sewer, or storm sewer. So with a lot of talk with the city managers in the county, Tammy, Matt over in El Reno, and, you know, Tim and Mustang, you know, they all worked real hard, as well as the mayors in the cities, to work with the county to obtain the funds. For us, they are giving us $3,725,433 to apply towards this project that they were not able to use. This will go a long ways. You know, we'll still be 4.3, 4.4 short. So that's something, as we go through the phases, we're going to try to figure out which are the best phases that would need to be done. Their order will change. We're currently in the design process right now, working with DEQ. So hopefully we can finish that in the next several months and see where we're at, so we can go ahead and get some of these projects going. This is one of the projects that, you know, we've been asked to look at. It's needed. This intersection at Northwest 10th and Cornwall and Check Hall, to do what's needed or proposed there is right at $6.1 million. We are applying for ACOG grants, trying to see if we can obtain those grants. There is a lot of requirements, but we're hoping that this may make the points one day, so we keep submitting it, because that is a monster intersection to put there, but that is a bottleneck in 10th Street. So we are looking. As we go forward, this is just some ideas of some projects. You know, we got 2 lift stations that need to be upgraded. That's about $100,000 apiece. You know, we know right now we got about 3,290 feet of sewer line that needs to be replaced today. We got about 6,774 that we know of water line. This is just a list of streets that we know. We will prioritize those during the budget process and see where we're at. You know, Garth Brooks is one that needs to be really looked at. Cornwall needs to be looked at. We got First Street, we got Fifth Street, you know, we can go on and on and on. But we're trying to do what we can, apply for everything we can, try to get any help we can to work on these streets and maybe get something done. You know, possible funding that we would look at is ACOG, TAP grants, Carissa grants, STBG, UZA, air quality grants, you know, recreational trail grants, ODOT, the federal government, capital. You know, we talk about partnerships and the importance of partnerships. You know, we just talked about the amount of money the county was, you know, gave us to help us with the sewer. You know, Tom Mansky and Dave Anderson, Tracy and Jack Stewart and all those that we've had in the past have been great. And we build these relationships in the council. You know, as we go forward, you know, there is membership on some of these organizations, and it's important that we're involved, because the more involved we are, the more likely we're going to get some funding that helps. For example, you know, we work with ACOG, which is the group where a lot of these federal funds come through the grant application. Oklahoma City, like I said, you know, they've worked with us on several projects. You know, it has to be in their city limits, but we have relationships with them as well. ODOT is another one that we have relationships. So it's just things that we need to talk about as we go forward and make sure, you know,
It is so
we keep
important.
those relationships.
And that's one of the things, like on ACOG, I don't really have time to be on their board of directors, but I am their executive board for that reason. Same with Oklahoma City. I meet with Bradley quite a bit, and I can't remember the name of the lady on the south side, and David, because it's important for us to sit at the table and keep that communication open.
Yeah. Do we have any questions?
All right.
Okay.
Wonderful job. Thank you.
All righty.
All right. Meeting is adjourned. We'll meet back in 6 minutes.